Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to you. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether you're watching live or you're watching later on. We appreciate you coming in with us. We have a very special show today, something that is near and dear to my heart. It is National School Counseling Week, and we have some amazing guests who are joining us today, actual counselors who are going to come and share with us their journey. But before we continue, of course, we want to thank our sponsors who make this episode possible for us to do every week. Of course, our HLPTA, CTA, our ILC, and now also our Ricardo. We have to add one more in there, right?
Yes, we do. We have
Okay,
actually
UTLA. Is that right?
That's correct.
I remembered it. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for allowing us all to be here together and to share this important conversation with everybody. And we do see some people tuning in already. So hi, everyone. Stick around and hang out with us tonight. So let's go. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even introduce myself. If you have not met us before, my name is Teresa Castro.
And I am Ricardo Recinos. I did that for Beto, for Gilbert. Specifically for Gilbert.
If you guys don't know, that is her running joke. Just his introduction, I just can't. Okay, anyways, we are both technology toasts from Hacienda La Puente Unified School District. Let's get started. All right, click. All right. Oh, here they come. Okay, everyone, we want to introduce you. Wow, we have a crowd here today. We have fireworks welcoming everybody here today. When I say your name, please go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background and what your role is, because we know you are all counselors, but all different kinds. So I'm just going to go in order here. Maritza, go ahead and introduce yourself to us.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maritza Cabezas. I'm a counselor on special assignment for the Hacienda La Puente Unified School District. I work with the homeless McKinney-Vento population within our district. And is there anything else you want me to say?
Yes, Marisa, before you became a counselor, I'm only going to bug you because you're the only one I know
okay.
Your history. What did you do before you were a counselor?
Okay. So you really want me to go there. Okay. So I've been a teacher for over 17 years before becoming a counselor. And I actually had the pleasure of working with Teresa. We were both, yep. We were both teachers at Baldwin Academy. At one point, we both taught the same grade level. So we were teenies. That was an amazing experience. Baldwin Academy it's still home for a lot of us. It's just an amazing place. The teachers are amazing. So I keep in touch with all of them. And then after Baldwin Academy, I became a teacher on special assignment, and I worked at Nelson Elementary and Workman Elementary, where I was doing a lot of intervention for students, and I was providing support. And well, now I am the homeless McKinney-Vento counselor on special assignment. I work mainly with our homeless families and students in our district, and I provide them the support they need. I provide them with resources and services, just making sure that, our students are attending school, eliminating all those educational barriers.
Wow, very, very important role there. So when I call your name, go ahead and give us a little bit of your background and tell us your current role. I think you are next, Beto, or Gilbert, as we will call you for today.
Hey, how are you guys? Thanks for having me. And I am Gilbert Riveros, college and career counselor at Rancho Dominguez Preparatory School and Los Angeles Unified School District. And I think this is my 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th year as a college and career counselor. And prior to that, I was 11 years as a Spanish and AP teacher at Fremont High School in South LA. And pretty much life. I've also been a first grade teacher and middle school counselor for a minute. And 2009 national teacher for the Hispanic Heritage Foundation. So yeah, that's what I do.
Very cool. Now I see how you and Ricardo know each other. I like it. Very cool. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Lorraine, you're up next. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it. So my name is Lorraine Ortega. I've been a counselor in the Hacienda La Puente School District for about 19 years. I had the privilege of actually starting as a Spanish teacher. So I feel very connected to Beto and Ricardo. And actually, funny story, I started running like financial aid meetings after school for my Latino families that didn't speak English and needed guidance. And my principal at the time saw something in me and really encouraged me to be a school counselor. And that's how I became one. So I've been a counselor about 19 years. I worked at Los Altos High School for 12 years. I then went to the district office and I was the homeless and foster liaison and had the opportunity to work with Maritza as well. So I know a little bit of everyone. And was with Equity and Access. And I know Justin is there now. So welcome, Justin, to our district. About 2 years ago, I decided to head back to a school site. And I am currently a high school counselor at Wilson High School. So I've been at Los Altos and Wilson. So those are our two rival schools. So it's been interesting and fun.
Thank you so much. Oh, so we've heard Justin. So you came highly recommended and we had to have you on today. So Justin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Justin Gonzalez. I am with Equity and Access. I joined Hacienda La Puente Unified in March of last year, so mid-year. So I'm brand new to the district. I think I'm the newest one here from Hacienda La Puente. Before that, I was with Charter and LA Unified. I was with Alliance for College Ready Public Schools. I've spent the most of my time as a counselor working at a middle school in Watts. So I was just right there in the Watts Compton kind of area. I spent about 8 years working for Skirball Middle School there. And then before that, I was in Inglewood at a high school. So I've been about a counselor for about 10 years. And currently I am placed at Sunset Elementary. So Sunset and OH Elementary and Los Robles Academy.
Wow. Okay. We have a great group with us, lots of different backgrounds. So I'm excited to start this conversation with everyone. And we are getting some comments in there. Everyone just saying happy Counselors Week to all of you. And thank you so much for taking this time because we know you probably have other things that you could be doing right now. So we appreciate this time. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started, Ricardo, with our purpose. We always start us off with our purpose. So our purpose today is to celebrate our counselors for National School Counseling Week, raise awareness of important role that counselors play in the academic and personal lives of students. So our objective is to educate the public about what your role is. Like, what is it that you do? We know you work in the background, but your role is very important. So we want some awareness in there. We also want to recognize the hard work and dedication that you have for our school and our students and their families. And we want to encourage further support for this type of role because it's so important, especially now at what the world has been through. Your role is even more important. So we want to make sure to highlight that today in our episode. So let's continue. All right, so here we go. First question of the day. Well, second question, but what inspired you to pursue a career in counseling and what do you find most rewarding about it? And I'm just going to call on names just for the sake of time. Justin, why don't you go first and tell us what inspired you to become a counselor?
So what inspired me to become a counselor? In my life, I've been very fortunate to have people that have really helped guide me and provide direction when needed. And coming out of college, I was always working with youth and working with kids. And I just really wanted to give back and help students kind of navigate their paths through school. And what I find most rewarding about it is that I'm able to work with students one-on-one or in small groups and really see change over time. So just see, they might come to you with something that they feel is insurmountable or something that they feel like they can't really get past. And as a counselor, you're really there to help guide them through whatever it is that they might be going through or experiencing, whether it's something that's academic, personal, social, or just even far off in the future. So it's really rewarding to be there with students for that ride. So.
Very inspiring. Thank you. And you are getting some love from our audience. They must have, really felt that as you said that. So thank you. How about you, Beto? What inspired you to pursue a career in counseling?
I guess many reasons. I had a pretty good college counselor that kind of plucked me out of the blue and took me from San Pedro High all the way to the University of Laverne just to go visit. And that kind of started. I know, go figure, in her car back in 1988.
Oh.
Yeah. And different times, of course. And I was also helping kids in my Spanish classes as well. It's like, hey, mister, can you help me with this and with that? And I had no problem with it. And, seeing my colleagues who were going to get their master's in counseling too, like, maybe I should, give this a shot. And so it's like, figuring out that I could do more of an impact was kind of key. But I think, with seeing my colleagues and and learning about what's going on, the intricacies and the background of doing counseling kind of pushed me in that direction. And so just jumped right into the master's program, and here we are, right?
Well, lucky are we.
Yes, we are.
Very cool. Thank you so much. Lorraine, how about you?
Yeah. So as I had mentioned, I had an amazing principal as a Spanish teacher, and he was more like a mentor and saw qualities in me that I really wasn't recognizing, that I was like a quasi after school for free all summer. I had no kids and no husband. So I spent my entire summer just volunteering at the school for fun and helping families and students. But if I reflect back, I'm actually a product of our district. And actually, I was a peer counselor at Orange Grove. And so a few years ago, I found some like old letters I had written to myself. And when I reflect, even my teachers back then saw qualities in me where I was, caring for others and concerned and wanting to guide people and support them. And so that's kind of what led me in this path. And I absolutely love it. I can't picture myself doing anything else. So I'm so happy to be a counselor.
That's wonderful. How about you, Maritza?
So back in high school, I wanted to pursue a career in psychology. So when I went to UCR, my alma mater, I actually obtained a degree in psychology and social relations. But then teaching opportunity came up, so I became a teacher. I loved it, and so I stayed as a teacher for a very long time. I taught second, third, and fifth. And then after teaching for a while, I noticed that children really needed counseling services. Mental health is a huge thing when you're a child. Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize, my dog. But, then after, I obtained my degree in psychology, psychology and counseling, then I just decided to do something else for our community and for our children. So that's when I decided to go and, apply as a TOSA. And then eventually I became a counselor, a COSA on special assignment.
It's really cool to hear. Oh, go ahead. Keep going. Betty.
Oh, no. One of the things that I find most rewarding about it, like I was sharing today with our team, on Monday, we had a call from one of the parents that I have worked with for many, many years. This is a parent that has needed services. She was sleeping in her car for a while. Then she was sleeping in a motel. Then eventually, she went into a shelter. And I received a call from this parent on Monday. And she wanted to talk to me to tell me that she had gotten an apartment. And it was so sweet because she was like, I did it, Maritza, I did it. And she was like crying and she was super excited. And she was telling me I finally got an apartment. So that's the part that I find most rewarding, is when our families and our students, they become stable and they get their housing and you see all the little puzzle pieces coming together.
Okay, Ricardo knows I'm a crier. So we're supposed to save that for later. I'm just kidding. But thank you for sharing that. Yes. So I can't even find the right words to put into, how much impact all of you have, not just on students, but on families as well, all in your different roles. And but we're trying to stay on course here, so I will not continue to go on. But Maritza, you already answered the next question, so I'm going to skip you on this one. But that was a beautiful, beautiful story. Can you share a most memorable or impactful moment as a school counselor? Let's start with Justin. A most memorable or impactful moment.
Yeah, so there's definitely been a lot of moments as a counselor where you look back and you can see the difference that you're making. Thinking about this question and reflecting about it, I remember I went on a college tour a few years back, and I took a bunch of middle school students in the 8th grade to UCI. And we did the UCI college tour, and I recognized our tour guide. It was a student at UCI, but I couldn't place it. And we did the whole tour, and these are a bunch of kids from South LA, at UCI, first time at a college campus, eyes are real big and just inspired by you know, everything, all the buildings at UCI. And at the end of the tour, our tour guide says, "Mr. Gonzalez, do you remember me?" And, you know, her name came to me, thankfully, right? I'm really terrible with names, but her name came to me, and it was Marquita from high school that I had worked at. And she had gone into UCI. She was in like her third year, and she led a group of students from the same school, like on that tour. And that was just a really like kind of a full circle moment for me, where it was,
Yes.
you know, students that we are pushing to go reach for their dreams and push to college, and to have a student that was a product of our school and a product of like, you know, our school and our system and everything, right, that we tried to strive for, and have it be right there. You know, I just wish that that student had told me earlier, like, "Hey, I'm from your school. Like, you remember me? I totally know what you guys are going through and where you're at," to make that connection. So that's a really memorable moment for me, is just kind of seeing a student go from, you know, planning to go to college to getting into a college to actually being at a college, and then giving back and leading students, pulling students through that college tour from the same community. So really, really inspiring moment.
Yeah, like you said, it's really full circle. And I know Ricardo has a lot of those stories too, because he worked in the high school as well. So he gets to see former students all the time, former students, you know, and their children and their families, and, you know, and yeah, it's very, very, very wonderful. Ricardo, did you want to share something? I'm gonna put you on the spot. Nope, I don't hear him. Too bad. Okay.
I
When he's
said we
ready.
can share our stories at the end today. Go
Okay,
ahead.
got it. All right. Lorraine, did you want to share a most memorable or impactful moment with us?
No, I'm just going to say ditto. You know, again, having been in the district for so long, I'll share a most recent story. When a student calls me by my maiden last name, then I know it's like old school. So I had a student show up to Wilson High School, which is where Ricardo used to work. And he's a young man of, 30 years old. And so the office staff was saying, "Hey, Lorraine, there's somebody at the office, at the, attendance window. It's a young man, and he says he needs to speak to Miss Griego. Is that you?" And so I'm like, "Yeah, it's me. How weird." Okay. So I'm thinking what's going on here? I go to the front, and he's like, "Miss, do you remember me? You were my counselor. And I just want you to know that I did good in life. I'm a fireman, and I followed your recommendations. And I just wanted to come in person to tell you that I'm married, and I have a child now, and I'm doing great." And it's those moments that remind me that every interaction matters, that giving time to every student, connecting with them, letting them know that no challenging moment in high school is forever. This is just one tiny little piece in your huge story. And there will be a rainbow, and you have the opportunity to change, your story if it's a story you don't like. And it's those moments, it just reminded me like how important we all are as educators. It's not just the counselor, it's our attendance office, it's people smiling, our custodian, all of us working as a team to give kids hope. Because the truth is, they need to know that, it's not just at home, but it's everywhere you go. And we also have to remember why we went into education. It's to love on kids, to, motivate them, inspire them, and then help them get through this journey so that they can begin their amazing future. And so I would say it's those moments that impact me the most.
Wow, I'm not a counselor. I'm just a teacher, but I could hear you filling my cup, and inspiring me, because this is a tough job, especially right now for all of the educators out there. So these are words that really help us to keep going. So thank you, Beto. You're not off the hook. Can you share a most memorable or impactful moment?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I want to count this as while I was a counselor, because it was while I was a teacher.
That's okay.
And I mean, which was one of the linchpins to going into grad school for the master's. But it was a kid who was a soccer player, and I was like, "Dude, you can do this. He was in my class, and you can go to college, and you can do this EOP application and get it done. And come on, get it done." So I kind of pushed him over the edge and like, "Do it. Sit down." And this was paper application still, hence the gray beard, right? And I was like, "Okay, just get it done." And so he got accepted. Off he went. He decided to go to Northridge. Fine, great. Suffice it to say, on Facebook, right, I started adding kids, right, and it's like, oh, okay, this guy, and then he reached out, hey, mister, can I talk to you? It's like, sure, here's my number, give me a call. Suffice it to say, he's like, hey, I'm on my PhD program in counseling. It's like, what? Yeah, and I just wanted to ask you, because being part of my research, it's like, what is it that you saw in me, or why did you tell me to do, go forward and go to college? I was like, I just saw it in you. It's like, why should you or anybody in my class miss out on an opportunity and a shot at this? I was like, you deserved it. It's like, you deserve to go. And it's like, I wanted to make sure you win, even though I wasn't a college counselor. But yeah, and he finished his PhD, and it's like he's off doing better things, straight out of South LA, doing PhD work. So
That's amazing. And
there
I
you go.
think, everything that you all have said just reminds us, as teachers in the classroom, we're not counselors, but on some days we are. Maybe not
Mhm.
officially, but we are there for kids and, listening to them and believing in them. And, sometimes we have to realize that sometimes we're the only ones that believe in kids sometimes, or when they need it the most. And so, wow, thank you for playing that role, because not only are you able to do it with your students when you were in the classroom, for those who are in the classroom, but now you can expand and help other students as well. So I love that. Okay, so the next question, this one is optional, so we're going to let you volunteer to answer if you want. Okay, so what is the biggest challenge you faced as a school counselor? And we're sure there's plenty, but if you'd like to share, we're just going to have you go ahead and speak out, and whoever wants to go first. Does anyone want to answer this question? The biggest challenge you face.
I'll answer it.
Okay.
So, to share with you, I would say that there are two challenges that are the greatest. One being the fact that, one moment I'm guiding a student in an area of college and career, and 2 seconds later, I have a student who's crying because her boyfriend broke up with her. And the next moment, I have a fight that occurred that I need to go and calm a student down. And so I'm handling 10 different scenarios all at the same time while trying to remain calm. And so, being a counselor, I will share with you at Wilson High School, I love it. I love our population. I love my school. But, coming back from COVID, mental health is real. And one of the biggest challenges we have at our high school is we have a lot of students who are experiencing significant signs and symptoms related to anxiety, and addressing those and being present for them. And the truth is that as a school counselor, with a lot of students at our school, which is great, our population is growing at my high school. So we're excited to have that many students. However, it really limits how much time I have available to do one-on-one counseling with a student. And we are a school that only has 4 counselors at the high school, and our population is just 100 students shy of Los Altos, who has 6 counselors. So you could just, understand that it's challenging to be, one of 4 with a large caseload. We appreciate all families and students coming to us, but we definitely are finding that mental health is something that we need more of at our school. And us 4 counselors, we can't take it all on.
Definitely. And that's why we didn't want to skip out on an episode like this, just to also bring awareness to everyone out there, because sometimes they don't know what you do. You kind of work silently in the background. And so it's very important to bring you out into the light to show everyone how important your role really is. So anyone else want to answer this question? The biggest challenge you face as a school counselor?
I mean, I'll be more than happy to chime in. It's cultural challenges as far as college, like the first one to go to college, or
Wow.
the daughter of going to college, and cultural limitations on that, and trying to get cultural understanding, get understanding of how this can impact the family in a positive sense,
Yes.
and of course security, and if you're having like the first daughter, be safe, but not knowing what a school is like, and encouraging parents to go visit the college campus and really understand and see where your child will attend, and giving that visual aspect, and And even then, even financial aid challenges, trying to get parents to understand, hey, you're not providing us the information, you're providing the federal government information. And it's like, oh, but I don't want to give my information to anybody, but it's the federal government. They already have that. And it's safe and secure. And so it's like, you know, and I remember the first couple of years, I had to remind myself, I have this is a new class every year. It's like, how do you not know? How do you know? And I had to check myself and say, no, this is a new class. It's a new kid. It's a new generation, and it's a new time. So every year I got to remind myself of that. Yeah. So
that's so true. You know,
cultural
when
stuff is the big one.
yeah, what because my parents, you know, they came to this country, and that's true because when college came around, they didn't know how things went. I didn't know how things went, and when I was trying to fill out financial aid, they were very reluctant to share any information at all, which did not help. And that's true. It took me a while to think back, why would they do that? But yeah, just apprehension of what kind of information, what's the world going to do with this info? Are they going to be sent here and there? Like, you know, there are so many things that our students go through for sure. Anyone else want to answer this? We won't force you.
So I'm going to bring in a new component to the whole mix. You know, as you know, I work with the families. And so what I'm starting to notice is that due to COVID, we're having a huge rise on families losing housing due to affordable housing. So there's a lot of eviction notices coming in. There's a lot of families, you know, already looking for housing. There's a lot of actually people from other countries coming to the U.S., you know, due to COVID. And so that triggers down and affects our students, right? Because families are not able to provide the bare necessities or the basics for their children. So that in turn affects our children at the school site. So I have seen a huge amount of families now becoming homeless because of that.
Well, we're very thankful that you're there for them, because a lot of these families probably don't know where to go or who to talk to or who can help them, who can help their children. So thank you for being in that role. Anybody else?
So I'll add to this this question, and I'm so happy that Ms. Ortega mentioned just some of the systemic challenges that we have as counselors in terms of being able to really live out the aspirations that we have for our counseling programs and do everything that we possibly can while juggling all of the day in and day outs of a counselor. So since joining Hacienda La Puente, I am placed at 2 schools. And I'm at Sunset Elementary in La Puente, and I am at Los Robles Academy in Hacienda Heights. And I love both of my schools dearly. Every Wednesday feels like a Monday, and every Monday feels like a brand new month. Because going from one school to another school, it is very difficult to establish a foothold into the school culture and to get programs going and running things. And I think I speak for a lot of my colleagues in the elementary schools. We're very fortunate and happy to be here with Hacienda La Puente. And I think we're all hoping to stay here with Hacienda La Puente for the coming years, and that our elementary school students continue to get counseling support, and that we can continue to bridge elementary to middle and middle to high, and have the quads meet and really build a program, a comprehensive school counseling program that responds to the needs of our students and will help our district, you know, maintain a competitive advantage, you know, against neighboring districts for our students. So I think that just all in all, a big challenge that we have as counselors is that we have so many aspirations and we have so many things we want to do. And it's like trying to find the things that are going to get the most value and kind of the most mileage, right, for your time within your day. So, yeah.
Wow. Oh, sorry. I'm letting it all soak in. And, I grew up, and my mom she was a psychiatrist actually. And so you tell me if you relate to this. And she said sometimes, and I know you're in this role where you talk to these students and these families and all the things that they're going through. Do you sometimes feel like that takes a toll on you as well? Like when you hear, when they share these emotions, these burdens, do you feel that on yourself as well sometimes when you talk to them?
Teresa, that's called secondary trauma, girl. We
Am I
have people,
diagnosed?
that's called secondary trauma. It actually does happen. And it's very common. So as counselors, you know, we do need to do some self-care and remind ourselves, hey, you know, I'm doing the best I can with what I have, because you do feel frustrated and overwhelmed, especially, again, like I had mentioned, I used to be the district's homeless and foster liaison. You know, you're handcuffed and you're trying to tread through water, and you're being pulled back. You know, you're trying the best you can, and you really have to be reminded that you're doing everything you possibly can. And so, you know, yes, hearing sad stories, you know, having to report child abuse, seeing our students, you know, their families be evicted, having kids who unfortunately, you know, experience trauma every day at home. And they come home, they come to school and they share that with us. It is hard, you know, because I get to go home to a nice home and I have food and I have everything I need in life, and my children do. But sometimes the students I work with at school don't have that. And it does tug at the heart. And so, you know, remaining grounded. And I will tell you the one thing that I'm always advocating to myself and telling my husband is I need self-care. and that may mean, you know, getting myself a yummy meal, treating myself to that, or, you know, also taking a moment to process what was just shared with me and maybe sharing it with a colleague. So then I don't feel like I'm just holding onto this, you know, and processing what was shared with me. But, you know, a good movie, a good friend, a good chat, anything like that allows us to do some self-care.
Thank you for that reminder. I think we all need to hear that for sure. Thank you. Okay, so let's gonna kind of bring myself back together here. All right, so we just take a quick commercial break really quick just to show you how the world is celebrating National School Counseling Week. This is coming from all over. HLPTA is here, U.S. Department of Education, saying congratulations to all of you and thank you so much for your service and what you do for us. Hacienda La Puente is here. CTA has been they've been posting all week about it. American Counseling Association, Edutopia, whereas California Department of Education, everyone is saying thank you so much. You know, a lot of your work goes without the thanks that it deserves. So thank you. The world recognizes you, hopefully more than just this week. You feel that beyond this week right now. So let's continue. We have a few more questions left before we wrap things up. But we did hear you already touch upon life after distance learning or life after COVID, because we know we see every day the increasing need for support from counselors and social emotional support because of, you know, what happened to the world, what happened to our students, what happened to their families. Can you just tell us a little bit about I don't know, anything about this conversation, how things have changed, what you've seen, anything you want to share about the topic of life after distance learning or after COVID? We'll just take whoever wants to share. Don't all jump at it. I know some of us have already touched on it earlier, but go ahead.
I'll share real quick. So yes, you know, mental health has been a need. However, I will share with you that our students are now getting back into the groove of things.
Good.
You know, it took a minute for them to process being in the classroom, having to sit for every class period and not being able to go get themselves a snack or to be on a black screen. You know, it's the truth. We even had to, as adults, I saw many adults trying to adjust to that piece.
Yes.
In addition to that, I will share, you know, something that made me super sad. And I thought it was just a student that I was working with is a lot of students had difficulty removing the face mask at the high school. And Gilbert, I don't know if you experienced that as well, but we had a lot of students at our high school. I would, you know, I just started, just like, you know, they would see me without my mask. I didn't need to wear one anymore and so forth. And a lot of students were saying, I don't want people to see what I really look like. And that broke my heart, because then I thought we have a bigger problem. Wow. You know, it's not because you're scared of your health, but more because you're fearful of what people are going to say about the way you look. And so that brought awareness to our team as a counseling team to really tell our students, you're beautiful. Don't let, wearing a face mask make you think that you're not, or you have to hide. And that was super unique. So now I'm excited, to see our students coming back to life. We're starting to see relationships flourish, friendships. We had a lot of students at the high school struggling who had never been there for 2.5 years, and now they're juniors and they have no friends, and it had met nobody. We had a lot of crying students at the high school. Those are things that I typically would see more middle or elementary, but to see it on a daily basis at the high school was super unique. And so now I'm happy to share that we're kind of jumping back into that groove. Students are finding their mojo, making friendships, attending basketball games, even boyfriend, girlfriend, or girlfriend relationships, any type of relationships, they're all flourishing. And we love to see that. Yeah, high school's an exciting time. And so we're seeing them thrive, and that's exciting.
That's very eye-opening, because as a parent, we have parents who also watch our show, families, and a lot of parents are probably unaware of that too, about the whole mask thing that you just talked about. And, kind of makes me think I should probably, check up on my daughter and see how she's doing, and see, because she wears a mask all the time too, and kind of just check up on her and see how she is. Who else wanted to share a little bit about life after distance learning?
Well, I mean, if I could add, we'd have to consider that we're going to see these ramifications from the pandemic for another 10 years
Right.
until we, see that initial wave. We have even 2 years ago, TK and K kids that are now in second grade that were still impacted by the closure. We're still going to see those kids, that impact for another 10 years until we get a full wave of full 100% in-person instruction.
Wow.
So we can't let our guard down at this point. It's still a full long time, and yes, with Unified, we got back in April of 2021, but I mean 30% attendance on average at each school.
Wow.
And then last year full, but you could see the awkwardness as well from the students, and getting back into it. But this year, all of a sudden, like Lorraine stated, it's like everybody's going to pep rallies and everybody's going to the games and everybody's participating. And it's like more, and at our school is only 13 years old. It took a while to get those traditions and that school spirit going. This year, they're like insanely engaged. So it's nice to feel that school spirit on our young campus. So it's nice. Yeah.
So we're starting to get out of it, we see, but that's a good point of view. You're saying, we really won't get out of it until that whole, that whole set of students moves past us, until we have those kids who've just been in person the whole time. Wow, I never thought of it that way. Anyone else?
Yeah, I had to bring that one up, right?
Yeah, it's true. I didn't think about it. Justin, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to jump in on this one and just say that it's, I consider myself pretty good with technology. I'm not a tech tosa like y'all, but I'm pretty good with tech myself. But let me just tell you that our students are so good with tech. And I think that something,
yes, they are.
Something through distance learning that came about is that a lot of new apps sprung up. And it's, for us as counselors and educators, it's really important that we stay on top of all these apps and how they work. The amount of breakups or makeups or just communication that happens through Discord now, and just having that be part of the conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, this happened on Discord. They kicked me out of a channel, or like there's a new group thread, or even on something as simple as like Roblox. Like, oh, we're fighting on Roblox over something that happened, or Minecraft. Our students found innovative ways to communicate and to thrive during the pandemic. And I think that, after the pandemic, we're still seeing artifacts or evidence of that, growth. And as counselors, we're trying to, having to tap in and kind of see, okay, well, how are they using these things? And how can we educate families? How can we educate teachers and ourselves, right? For, some of the pitfalls that these apps might have, or some of the, challenges that we might see come out of these things. So I think life after distance learning, that's definitely something that's come up for me at the elementary school.
Sure.
I mean, I totally agree with Justin. I think even at a personal level, I feel like, I've had to, learn new strategies and up my skills in technology myself, because technology, that's the future. And so I've seen a lot more teachers use technology in the classrooms. It's really been a big push for that. So it's exciting to see all those changes within the classrooms.
Definitely. All very good points. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and just take another quick little break, but this might be the end of our show, depending on what time I finish. Oh, no, just kidding. I had one more question. Oh, I got excited. Sorry, everybody. I thought I was on the wrong one. So how do you help students prepare for their future, whether that be in school or beyond? You might have already answered this question as, we were talking about the other questions, but does anyone want to share anything specific, it seems kind of obvious now because of your titles, but feel free to share. How do you help students prepare for their future? Period. Anyone want to share?
I'll start. We start off a conversation with careers, bottom line, because that way we can work our way backwards on what direction the student should go.
Nice.
And that's much more helpful than what college do you want to go to and what majors. Because then we could present potential majors that could be related to what they want to do, and maybe explore other potential options once we hear what they want to do. For example, let's say, I thought about being an attorney or, helping kids, so it's like, you get to the point of, so you're a helper. It sounds like you want to help people. Let's look at some possible careers. Here's some ideas. And then let's look at majors. So we work our way back. And I think it's a much better approach to career and college advising.
That's actually really good advice. Every time you say something and I think of my daughter, I'm like, I should be asking her what she wants to be, not where she wants to go. I got it the wrong way around.
Oh, and in honor of Black History Month, called Black Colleges Matter. So.
I love your shirt. Black Colleges. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Anybody else want to share how you help students prepare for the future?
Sure. I'll share. We at Wilson High School, we use a variety of methods. We multiple class presentations. We also have one-on-one appointments at every grade level for over 30 minutes, just the student and I. So they can't say I never met my counselor. Yes, you did. You met every year. So we do a lot of pushing into the class. Our website at Wilson, I have to share my colleague, Megan Hara. She is phenomenal with technology. And so we do a lot of posting. We also use Canvas a lot and do presentations that way. I'm excited to share, we also bring in a lot of colleges at our lunchtime, and also do colleges go into our AVID classes and do presentations. So we're hitting them at every grade level, but intentionally with a different theme every year. And so the final theme is where Gilbert is at in the, the junior year, we're looking at the career. So then we can say, what's our selection and what are we zoning in on and focusing on and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely a multi-tiered approach. It's just great. I'm excited and I'm happy. I feel pumped up listening to everybody, talk about what they do, and want to go back and give back more to my students and to my school.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Going once.
I'll go ahead and share one. So basically, as you know, I work with the McKinney-Vento students in the whole district. Mm-hmm. So it's a very specific population that I work with. So we do conduct grade checks to make sure that our students are on track of graduating. Mm-hmm. And those students that are probably falling behind on credits or that are at risk of, dropping out, we do provide intervention. So I work closely with the high school counselors to make sure that we're doing everything possible to make sure that those students are graduating. And I'm going to give you a little example. We had this one student who was unaccompanied. This student basically, he wasn't with his parents. He had gotten kicked out of the house. And so I worked really closely with the counselor to provide him housing and shelter. And we also work with, it was a whole team, cooperation, collaboration, even with Willow Adult School, to make sure this child was, getting all the extra credits, and he graduated. We've got him to graduate. So yes, I was so happy for him. I mean, our population, they are at a disadvantage because they're lacking more resources than other students. So they need more support. And I don't do it by myself. Like, I have a whole team of people that we work together, including the high school counselors, adult school, and everyone else, to make sure that our kids are meeting their goals.
I love it. All right. So we have one slide left, and we're going to let you go, and we'll finish up the show without you, because we know many of you gave us a 5:45 deadline. We want to make sure we get you out on time. Okay, so this first one, we just want to hear some words of inspiration from some administrators out there. This is from Dr. David Nieto. He said, counselors serve an extremely valuable role in our schools, especially right now, as the demand on educators and schools to pick up more and more of the social net. Counselors serve as that critical link between students, families, and outside support agencies to support and help provide the outside of the class social and emotional support students need. So that's an administrator saying how much he supports and needs you in what you do right now. Here's another one. Almost done, everybody. If you have to go right now, it's okay if you disappear. We know you have something else to go to. So, but if you're still here with us, that's also fine. The next one is from Dr. Marcy Chavez, also an elementary principal. Bye, Lorraine. I see you waving at us. All right. So if you have to go, everyone, that's fine. We want to. Oh wait, you know what, Ricardo? I'm going to pause real quick because we have to say bye to them, of course, if they're going to leave. So as you go, we know Lorraine already left. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for all that you do for our kids, for our families, and for us, because we know that you're also counselors for us. When we come around and we talk to you and you listen to us and you support us and inspire us to continue doing what we need to do as educators. So thank you so much. You're free to stay. You are free to go. And I'm going to go ahead and continue to wrap this show up with Ricardo. But thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. Bye, guys. If you have to go, if you want to hang out, we're here. All right. Everyone who's still tuning in, hang out with us. We're still going to continue reading these quotes from our administrators here. We have from Dr. Marcy Chavez. School counselors are an integral part of creating a positive school culture. And that is the truth. They are mentors, guides, encouragers, and fearless advocates. Their uplifting presence and visibility on campus allows both students to feel safe and welcome, and staff to feel heard and supported. Thank you to all the school counselors in our district and all districts that make a difference each day. You are appreciated. Thank you so much. She's so good at putting things to words, right, Ricardo? All right, so this last one is from Miss Ann Hansen. She is a principal as well. School counselors are so important because every student needs to have a connection with an adult on campus that they can trust and confide in. Yes, very, very, very true.
Yeah, and I have to say that, we sent a text and within a minute, we had 3 responses. We have great administrators that were so willing to show appreciation for our counselors, this week. Amazing.
So Justin and Beto, you are still here, which means I get to ask you one more question. You can't leave anymore now. One quick question, and then you can leave. But sorry, you stayed, so you're on the spot. Quick question. What advice do you have for someone looking into the career of school counseling? You can make it short. So if I had someone who wanted to do it, or if I wanted to do it, what kind of advice do you have for someone who is interested in this career? Go ahead, Beto.
Oh, okay. So I can speak for college and career advising specifically, and what I can say is a steep and ongoing, always up learning curve. I kid you not, my first 5 years as a college and career counselor was just a steep learning curve. Admissions conferences and writing recommendations, going to learn how to write recommendations, figure out doing all the paperwork for the Common App, how to support students in getting those recommendations, and we're submitting, making sure that they're done accurately, and staying up to date with requirements, transcript analysis, admissions changes, especially during this pandemic, financial aid, scholarships. It's a lot.
So in other
If
words,
you are
don't do it. I'm
easily
just kidding.
overwhelmed, no, and far from it. If you're easily overwhelmed, then maybe call, and specifically for college and career counseling, be ready,
Yeah.
or maybe just be academic counselor, but emotionally, you need to be stable. Mentally,
Okay.
luckily, I don't know why,
Good advice.
whether it's genetic
Mhm.
or psychological, I can leave. I seriously, I can leave the emotional stuff at work, and then when I'm here at home, what do I have to do tomorrow?
Mhm.
Well,
I
that's a gift.
emotionally detach. I kid you not. I can emotionally detach.
Well, you're
That
gonna
is
have
a
to
gift.
show me how to do that.
But it's helpful if you can emotionally detach. And luckily, I don't know if I'm heartless, maybe, but but yet the
How
heart
is
turns
that
on
bad?
at work. Um, I can turn it. I can turn the heart on and be emotionally involved at work. But once I'm in the car, it's like normal mode. All right.
Yeah. Okay, that's a dream.
But
Ricardo, we
yeah,
need to work on that. I don't know where you are on that, but I have some work there.
I got
Justin,
that
how
down.
about
yeah.
you?
Yeah, a lot of what Gilbert said, I think, is very much like the day-to-day operations, and just being prepared to deal with a lot and being flexible, I think, is something that's really important. I would say that your grad school, it does matter. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but I would say that your internship, when you are rounding the third base coming into home for grad school, is very important. I've been fortunate enough to have several interns who are working all throughout California now. So I'm sorry to those districts. But I've had a lot of interns, and I've had a lot of opportunity to help guide people into being flexible and being prepared to be flexible for the environment and for what it takes to be a school counselor. So just anticipate a lot of demands and a lot of flexibility. You wear many hats. It's been said here that we've been operating in the background. We operate in the background, in the foreground. We deal with so many different things in schools. And I think just flexibility, be prepared to be flexible. And then also just to circle back to kind of wanting to champion so many different things in the schools. You have to let certain things kind of take a back seat sometimes. You might have initiatives,
That's
you might
hard.
have things that you're really passionate about and things that you want to, raise a flag for and march and get everyone on board with it. But sometimes if the school has different priorities, right, you kind of have to go with what those priorities are for the greater, good of everybody in the team. So just being flexible, I think being flexible and adaptable, I would say is the most needed attribute for a school counselor.
Well, that is really, from both of you, that is really good advice, because we do know many out there who want to be counselors. And I was also one of those. And now I have to really think if I'm equipped to handle that. But yeah, thank you. Very good insight. We appreciate it. So again, we're going to thank the two of you for taking your time to be with us today. Thank you. And hopefully we see you around as well. And Ricardo and I are going to let you go as we can conclude our show today. So thank you, Beto. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Thank you too for doing this and for inviting us all and giving us some time to answer these questions and engage in this discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Have a good one.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too. All right. So those of you who are still with us, you are stuck with Ricardo and I now. And so we just really want to show our appreciation to the counselors that took their time really last minute to come join us on this conversation, but for everyone they represent, all of our counselors all over the world who are making a difference. And really, you are so important, and even more important in this time of the world, when with all that we've been going through in the last few years, we would not be able to be where we are today without your help. So please just remember you're important. And on those tough days, just remember those good days, how much of an impact you have on all of us. And I know we have our stories too. Ricardo, do you want to share a story about?
Yeah, as I think about my educational experience and I think about the roles that counselors played in my life, I can tell you, and you're probably bored by my story by now, but I came here when I was 14 years old. I didn't speak English, so when I went to Garfield High School, I was giving a placement test, and I remember doing really bad in it. And at the time, I think we called them guidance counselor. I still remember listening to my guidance counselor saying, "Pobrecito no sabe nada," which means like poor kid, he doesn't know anything. And I remember being placed in remedial classes. And I told the story about Jaime Escalante coming into my classroom, right, and taking me into, at the time, math and trigonometry. But it wasn't him. It was actually a college counselor like Beto by the name of Mr. Morazic, in East Los Angeles at Garfield High School, who took me out of the classroom, said, "Hey, you have really good grades. What are you going to do after school?" I think someone said this, Beto said this. My parents had not gone to college. I had no idea what going to college was. So this man took me, into this career center, made me fill out applications, paid for the waivers, or paid for whatever it had to be. And all of a sudden, I got accepted into USC, UCLA, and another school. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, that college counselor changed my life. I remember for the longest time, every Christmas, we used to go to his house. Latino students that maybe would have not had that vision to go to college, getting together for Christmas break, coming from Berkeley, from Stanford, from USC, from UCLA, from Ivy League schools, because of this one person, this college counselor that changed all of our lives.
Yeah, every time I hear that story, it amazes me, because, we get to work with you and, teachers and students who are just like you, who've overcome the odds. And my question to you, Ricardo, is, if you didn't have that experience with that counselor that made a difference for you, what do you think would have happened?
Yeah, who knows, right? I probably would have gotten lost, right? And not, coming from a different country, not understanding the educational programs over here and how everything works, maybe I would have gone to a community college and found my way eventually, but I can tell you that I would have not taken the road that I took, and I would have not been lucky enough to go to a college, private school, and get everything paid for and be able to now stand in front of students as a role model. So yeah, I'm very thankful for Mr. Morazic and what he did for me. So yes to counselors.
And you are impacting so many teachers all over the world. And I'm thankful that counselor did reach out to you and make that difference in your life, because you're here to make an impact on all these teachers, which you might not be here if that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. So we appreciate you. And I don't have an exciting story as you did, Ricardo, but I think, psychology has always been a big role in my family. My mom was a psychiatrist. I also graduated with psychology. But I just remember one thing when I was sitting at the table with my counselor in college. It was the very first time someone actually listened to me and asked me what I wanted. I think I grew up always being told what was expected, but it was the very first time that someone took the chance and said, "What do you want? What do you want to do?" Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, no one's asked me that before. And that was just the moment that I was like, okay, I can actually choose which direction my future is going. And so I for sure would not be in this profession if that counselor didn't ask me what I wanted. So again, thank you to all the counselors out there for making a difference, to us, to your students. You hear me saying this over and over like a broken record, just because I mean it so much. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for all you do for all of us. We will see you all again soon. Bye, everyone.